What's up everybody, Nico Dwyer back for the 10th inning here with another episode of This Day in Sports History. In yesterday's episode, we saw Tony Gwynn not only hit his 2,000th career MLB hit, but also get his 3,000th career MLB hit. We do actually have more 3,000 hit players, including one that was exactly one day after Tony Gwynn in 1999. We also have some more Olympic Games to talk about, as well as a first career Major League victory from one of the greatest pitchers of all time. So if y'all enjoy this video, leave a like on it. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. This Day in Sports History. And we'll start with that victory early today. In 1907, playing for the Washington Senators, Walter Johnson would win his first of 416 career victories, second most all time, after a 7-2 victory over Cleveland on the day. 9 innings pitched, 4 hits allowed, 2 runs, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts in the victory. We now move up to cycling in 1921, and Piet Molskorps would win his first of 4 straight and 5 overall sprint championships at the UCI Championship after defeating defending champion Bob Spears. We'll get into the Olympics now, start with the Berlin Olympics in 1936. At the 5,000 meter final, there would be a Finnish 1-2 when Gunnar Holkert would run an Olympic record 14 minutes 22.2 seconds to claim the gold medal, besting teammate Lauri Littinen, who won silver. We stay in those Olympics and we go to the first ever Olympics that held basketball as one of its sports. 21 nations would line up at the first basketball competition at the Olympics, and in the first game, Estonia would defeat France, get ready for it, 34-29 in the first game of the day. Oddly enough, this was actually one of the highest scoring and most competitive matchups throughout the whole tournament for basketball. Obviously, it was not the same sport that it is today. Finally, at the Berlin Olympics in 36, Argentina would win the first polo gold medal, defeating Great Britain 11-0 in the final, and this would also be the final time that the sport would be contested at the Olympics. We move up to another Olympics now. In 1948, Delfo Cabrera of Argentina would win the marathon in 2 hours, 34 minutes, 51.6 seconds. Then in the 10K race, we would have a Swedish 1-2 as John Mikaelsen would win the gold medal with a time of 45 minutes, 13.2 seconds, 30.6 seconds ahead of teammate Ingemar Johansson. We stay in 48, this time we go to the track side of it, not the road part of it. In the 4x100 on the women's side, Fanny Blankers-Koen as part of the Netherlands team would win her 4th gold medal of the Olympics in the team's victory with 47.5 seconds. Now we go to some field action in 1948, and American Alice Coachman would become the first black woman from any country to win an Olympic gold medal when she would take the high jump at the London Games at 1.68 meters. Now, there were actually 2 people that got 1.68 meters. However, Coachman did it 1 attempt, no fail. Therefore, she would get this victory. Finally, at the 48 Olympics, in swimming, American Jimmy McLean would win the 1500 meter for his 2nd gold medal at those Olympics. This victory, there would be a U.S. clean sweep of every men's swimming gold medal, which honestly is crazy to think. McLean would swim it in 19 minutes, 18.5 seconds. We move up 2 years from the 48 Olympics to the Tour de France in 1950, and Ferdy Kubler would become the first Swiss rider to win the Tour, and that would be his only Tour victory. 4 years later, we go to 1954. At the Empire Games in Vancouver in the 1-mile race, Roger Bannister would defeat John Landy, but this would also mark the first time that 2 men would run a mile in less than 4 minutes in the same race. Bannister, 3 minutes 58.8 seconds. Landy, 3 minutes 59.6 seconds. We move to golf now in 1960. One of the best golfers ever, Arnold Palmer, with a score of 14 under, would claim his 20th PGA Tour victory, rallying from a 5-stroke deficit to enter a playoff, defeating Jack Fleck and Bill Collins to win the Insurance City Open. We move to Major League Baseball now 11 years later in 1971, and Oakland Athletics left-handed pitcher Vida Blue, en route to a 24-8 record, would become a 20-game winner when he would go the distance, shutting out the White Sox 1-0. Now that's great, but the reason this is on here is because of how the run scored. The only run of the game would score on a balk committed by Joe Horland in the 6th inning, giving the Athletics a 1-0 lead, and they would keep that, get in the victory. So just a weird way to get your run en route to your 20th victory. We move from Major League Baseball to the MLB Hall of Fame inductions. In 1972, Yogi Berra, Sandy Koufax, and Early Wynn would all be inducted by the BBWAA. Lefty Gomez, Will Harridge, and Ross Youngs would all be voted in by the Veterans Committee. Then finally, Josh Gibson and Buck Leonard would be voted in by the Negro League Committee, all joining Cooperstown in the class of 72. We stay with the Hall of Fame inductions, move up 6 years though to 1978. Eddie Matthews would be voted in by the baseball writers. Addie Joss and Larry McPhail would join him, being voted in by the Veterans Committee. 4 years later in Major League Baseball in 1982, after a rocket of a foul ball would hit a young boy in the stands, Jim Rice would climb into the stands and assist the young boy who obviously needed help. Rice's quick response to picking up the 4-year-old boy and running through the dugout to a waiting ambulance is actually credited with possibly saving the child's life. 1 year later, we moved to golf in 1983 at the PGA Championship. Hal Sutton, with a score of 10 under, would win his only major title, 1 stroke ahead of runner-up Jack Nicklaus. 1 year later, we moved to the Los Angeles Olympics of 1984. And in baseball, Japan would defeat the United States 6-3 in the final of the baseball demonstration. And since it was a demonstration, there would be no official medals given out. We stay in those Olympics, but move over to women's basketball, which did have medals. It was not a demonstration. And the USA would collect its first Olympic gold medal with an 85-55 victory over South Korea in the finals to win their first of 8 overall gold medals in women's basketball. We now move to 1991, and the American team that consisted of Carl Lewis, Mike Marsh, Leroy Burrell, and Dennis Mitchell would set the 4x100 meter relay world record of 37.67 seconds. This record would actually last less than a month, as they would go on to break it at the World Championships next month. 1 year later, we moved to the Barcelona Olympics in 1992, and Spain would win their first field hockey gold medal on the women's side, defeating Germany 2-1. 7 years later in 1999, we go to Major League Baseball, and one day after Tony Gwynn hit his 3,000th hit, Tampa Bay Devil Rays third baseman Wade Boggs would become the first Major League Baseball player to hit a home run for his 3,000th hit in a 15-10 loss versus Cleveland. As stated, this would be the second consecutive day a player got his 3,000th base hit, and for Boggs, this would be his third hit off the day, and the home run came off Chris Haney in the bottom of the 6th inning. 2 years later, we moved to an MLB auction in 2001, and Black Betsy, Shoeless Joe Jackson's 40-ounce bat, would be bought after a 10-day eBay auction and sold for $577,610, at that point believed to be the largest amount ever paid for a baseball bat, and it was, until 2004, when Babe Ruth's bat from 1923 at Yankee Stadium opening day, when he hit a home run, would sell for $1,265,000. 3 years later, we stick with Major League Baseball in 2004, and Chicago Cubs pitcher Greg Maddux would get his 300th career victory in an 8-4 win over the Giants. Now, this wouldn't be a classic from Greg Maddux at all. He still got the win though. 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 runs, 3 walks allowed, 3 strikeouts, and the victory, making him only the 22nd of 24 players to get 300 victories. We moved back to Major League Baseball in 2007, and Giants slugger Barry Bonds would pass Hank Aaron, hit his 756th career home run. This home run would come off left-handed pitcher Mike Bacsik of the Washington Nationals, and during the 10-minute celebration following the home run, there would be a surprise video message played on the scoreboard in which Hank Aaron would congratulate the left fielder for breaking his 31-year record. Going from a record-breaking home run to another 3,000 base hit, we moved to 2016, and Miami Marlins veteran outfielder Ichiro Suzuki would become the 30th member of the 3,000 hit club in the MLB, in a 10-7 victory over the Rockies. Suzuki would join Paul Molitor as the only other player to get a triple as their 3,000th hit. Suzuki would end his MLB career with 3,089 overall hits and end his professional career with 4,367 hits, which would make him the all-time hit king, depending on how you want to look at that. Staying in 2016, we moved to golf now, and Jim Furyk would fire a 12 under par 58 in the final round of the Travelers Championship. But with this 58, he would become the first player ever to shoot a 58 in a PGA Tour event, and the first PGA Tour pro to card 2 sub-60 rounds. However, he did not win this event. Russell Knox would end up winning at 14 under. Now we move to the Rio de Janeiro Olympics in 2016. We start off in swimming, and British swimmer Adam Peaty would record a world record 57.13 seconds to win the gold in the men's 100 meter breaststroke. He would go on to break this record 2 times, but he still currently owns the record. Then in the men's 4x100 freestyle, the USA would take it in 3 minutes, 9.92 seconds, and Michael Phelps would be on the team, and he would record his 19th Olympic gold medal and his 23rd of 28 overall medals, just adding to his legacy. We stick with swimming and go to the women's 400 meter freestyle. At those games, an American Katie Ledecky would set a new world record with 3 minutes 56.46 seconds to get the gold. Ledecky would go on to break this record, and she still has the current record. Finally, in 2016, Sarah Hjulstrom of Sweden would break the world record in the women's 100 meter butterfly with a time of 55.48 seconds, breaking her own record from 2015. And like Ledecky, she still owns this record. We end today's video off in 2017 in Major League Baseball. On his 26th birthday, Mike Trout would collect his 1,000th career hit after a line drive double into the left field corner off of the Orioles' Dylan Bundy in a 6-2 loss. Trout would become the 10th American League player to reach the milestone prior to his age 26 season. Later in the game, he would end up hitting a home run. Typical. So there you have it. That's what happened on this day in sports history. If I mispronounced any names, I do apologize. If I left anything out, I also apologize. But I'll see everybody tomorrow for Nico Dwyer in the 10th inning. See ya.